If this prayer has reached you, it is no accident. There is something in your life that urgently requires a miracle. Welcome to Prayerful Moments. You may not need to put it into words, because deep down, you already know what it is. You've thought about it countless times, carried the weight of it in silence, and tried every possible way to resolve it on your own. Yet now, you sense that only heaven can intervene, and you are calling out, seeking divine intervention. When the battle is beyond your strength, it is time to call upon the strongest. And in this very moment, Saint Michael the Archangel, the great warrior of the Most High, comes to stand by you, not as a distant observer, but as a fighter who is ready to stand in the gap and fight for the miracle that you so desperately long for. Welcome to the journey of Saint Michael, a sacred space where every prayer is a heartfelt cry, and every word spoken forms a bridge between your plea and the divine action that awaits. Here, we believe that when the heart surrenders in faith, heaven rises in power. Today, in this moment of urgency, we call upon Saint Michael the Archangel, the Prince of the heavenly hosts, to fight on your behalf, to bring an answer swiftly, and to ensure that the miracle you have been waiting for is no longer delayed. Saint Michael the Archangel, warrior of heaven. Today, I call out to you with my soul laid bare before you. There are no pretensions, no fancy words, just the deep need that has overflowed my heart. You know the miracle I seek. You understand the despair that has led me to this moment. You hear the cries I cannot express to anyone else, the silent pleas that only heaven can understand. And it is with this heart, raw and vulnerable, that I surrender before you, not in weakness, but in humility. For I know that only you can make the impossible possible. If the miracle I seek is held back by spiritual barriers, tear them down with your sword. If invisible forces are blocking my path, break them with your authority. If the enemy has closed doors before me, confuse him. Let nothing, absolutely nothing, stop the divine intervention I am waiting for I do not come before you with selfish desires, but out of urgent need. I do not ask out of vanity, but because my soul is aching for relief. You who fought in heaven and triumphed over darkness, fight now for me. Fight in the places where I can no longer go. Place your shield between me and everything that seeks to destroy me. May your presence lead the way. May every step I take be guided by your light, and may every decision I make be infused with your wisdom. May every discouragement be defeated by your heavenly strength. I present this urgent need to you. Saint Michael, I place it in your hands, knowing that in those hands nothing is ever lost, forgotten, or delayed. If I need healing, bring it quickly. If I need clarity in the midst of confusion, bring it with precision. If I need restoration of what has been broken, bring it with power. If I need strength to endure what has not yet changed, bring it with compassion. But please, Saint Michael, do not delay. Do not leave me alone in this waiting. You know heaven's timing, but you also know the limits of my human endurance. That is why I beg you to accelerate what has already been promised. Open the heavens above me, release the blessing that has been held back, and set in motion what has been stuck. Break the barriers that have hardened, and act swiftly with the power that only you can unleash. If my miracle is being hindered by my own fears, my doubts, or mistakes of the past, help me to correct my course. Do not allow me to remain trapped in guilt or shame. May your light reveal what I need to release, and your truth cleanse what I must forgive. Teach me that I do not need to be perfect to receive your grace, only sincere in my heart. Saint Michael, you who see the root of all things, go beyond my words. There are things I cannot articulate, wounds I do not know how to name, and needs I barely understand. You see them, you understand them, and you sustain them. Act now, even in the unspoken, in the things I do not know how to pray for. Touch those hidden areas with your healing power. To you, Commander of the heavenly armies, I bring my impossible situation, for I have already done everything within my reach. I have tried, I have fought, I have spoken, and I have done my best, and it has not worked. So now, I come not to give up, but to cry out. If this miracle cannot happen through my strength, let it happen through your intercession. If it does not come through my logic, let it come through your grace. If it does not arrive by my means, let it come by your authority. In the words of Psalm 20, verse 1, "The Lord hear thee in the day of trouble. The name of the God of Jacob defend thee." May you find refuge in the strength of this prayer, knowing that Saint Michael and Our Lady stand by your side, ready to guide you to the miracle you need. As we call on Saint Michael, we also seek the intercession of Our Lady, who, in her loving compassion, knows our hearts and seeks to bring us closer to the divine will. Let her grace surround you, and her mercy be your shield. May you be filled with peace, knowing that in this moment of uncertainty, heaven is already at work. Hold fast to faith, and trust that with Saint Michael's help and Our Lady's prayers, no miracle is out of reach. Saint Michael the Archangel, you who do not know defeat, you who were sent by God to defend the children of light, come now with all the authority heaven has given you. I speak to you as one who still believes that when a heart is at the edge of its strength, heaven hears with tenderness, because this prayer is not a simple request. It is a cry that pierces the night and rises like incense before the throne of God. You know how many times I tried to hold on to faith when everything around me fell apart. How many times I spoke of hope with a trembling voice. How many times I hid my tears so no one would carry my burden. Yet I cannot do it anymore. So today I stand before you without masks, only with a broken soul and the certainty that you can do what I no longer can. The miracle I seek is urgent not merely because of time, but because of the weight it carries. For there are nights when breathing feels heavy, days that stretch like deserts without shade, hours when loneliness speaks too loudly. And yet here I am, Saint Michael, because although logic says no, faith whispers that you can intervene in the impossible. If words have been spoken against me like arrows, I trust that you can neutralize them. If hands have worked in secret to harm me, you can break their plans. If energies, decisions, or hidden intentions are blocking my path, you can remove them with a single touch of your sword, letting nothing stand between this cry and heaven's answer. And if I have made mistakes, if fear led me astray, do not reject me. I ask you to teach me, correct me, transform my steps, and above all, do not leave me alone in my guilt. Guide me toward mercy and redemption, because sometimes the greatest miracle is not the change of circumstances, but the change within us. Saint Michael, if what I need is forgiveness, let your presence reveal the tenderness of God. And if what I need is redemption, let your power lift me from the ashes. Give me new vision if the miracle requires deeper sight. Grant me a new heart if this miracle demands a new beginning. Help me release every painful chapter that keeps me from moving forward, because I do not want to drag chains that you have come to break. I ask not only for myself, but for those I love, for the one suffering in silence, for the family member who sees no escape, for the friend who has lost hope, for the one fading slowly without understanding why. Intercede for them, Saint Michael. Reach where I cannot, act where my words fail. If the miracle is about health, may your light restore every cell and every organ, reversing what seemed irreversible, turning diagnosis into testimony and pain into peace, so so that healing touches not only the body but also the soul. If the miracle is provision and daily sustenance, open the doors. Saint Michael, that bread may not be lacking and the fire of home never go out. May dignity remain even when income is small. May what has been closed be opened and what has been delayed be accelerated. May unexpected help arrive in surprising ways. If the miracle is emotional, if there are wounds bleeding within, thoughts without rest, fears that walk beside me, enter the heart as a heavenly healer. Remove the roots of pain, dissolving sadness, anxiety, and anguish. Give strength to the soul. Raise the spirit, turning joy from memory into living promise. You who are swift to act, do not delay. Accelerate heaven's manifestation. May every phrase spoken in faith become a key. Every tear be counted. Every sigh a sign of the miracle drawing near. May this urgency be answered not with waiting, but with divine intervention. If the enemy has tried to plant unbelief or exhaustion, I ask that you act with double strength, giving no room for darkness. Let no voice opposed to God have power, silencing every thought of defeat with truth, reminding me that I am never alone. And as we walk through this moment, I remember Our Lady, whose heart never grew tired of saying yes to God, even when the path was unclear. She teaches us that miracles often begin where surrender rests. Her presence reminds us that every prayer is held with tenderness. Once, a poor wedding in Cana ran out of wine, and no one knew a solution. But she quietly whispered to her son, and what was ordinary became overflowing. Can you see how the smallest request in the hands of Our Lady can open a door that seemed sealed? What door in your life needs her gentle intercession today? What burden would you place in her hands if she stood beside you at this very moment? Her life shows us that God does not forget the humble heart. When she stood beneath the cross, grief did not remove her trust, and her silence became a sanctuary where love never died. Would you allow her to stand beside you now, guiding your tears toward hope? Even King David said, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble." Psalm 20, verse 1. And Jesus promised, "With God all things are possible." Matthew 19, verse 26. So let this faith take root within you. Let your heart be open, because you were never meant to face this battle alone. Saint Michael, alongside Our Lady, walks with you, shields you, and prays for you, reminding you that your story does not end in defeat. Though pain may speak loudly, grace speaks louder. Every challenge may become a testimony if you dare to keep praying. What if the very miracle you seek is already approaching, already forming, already breathing life into the dry and hidden places of your soul? What if God is preparing something better than the answer you expected, something deeper, something holy? So the lessons we carry today are these: you are never alone. Prayer unlocks doors the world cannot see. Mercy is always greater than failure. Healing begins when we surrender. Every cry lifted in faith is heard. Keep walking, keep believing, keep lifting your heart. For the God who strengthened Saint Michael in the loving presence of Our Lady will strengthen you too. And when your blessing arrives, may your story awaken hope in others as you leave a testimony of faith in the comments. Saint Michael the Archangel, Prince of Heaven, I speak to you from a place both fragile and brave, knowing that even now you are already moving with power over my urgent miracle, and I stand before you not because everything has improved, but because something within me has awakened like a small flame struggling in the wind, a flame you have come to reignite with purpose. I feel that I am not alone, that this time will not be like before, that your radiant sword is already raised, and that heaven has begun to move in favor of my plea. And I wonder, have you ever felt an inner stirring right when you thought you had nothing left. A whisper that said, "Stand up. Help is coming." This miracle is not just a passing desire. It is a need that runs through my days like an unending sigh, the answer I have waited years for, the door that has remained closed, the healing that seems far, yet I still believe can arrive at the perfect hour, because with you, Saint Michael, time is never an obstacle, logic never speaks the final word, and what seems impossible for mankind becomes reality by God's command. Remember the promise in Psalm 20, verse 1, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble." Does this not reassure us that heaven hears every tear we pray? I ask you to walk with me through the places where I no longer have strength to go. Enter the hidden rooms I am afraid to open. If this miracle requires me to face truths I have avoided, help me stand without fear. And if it requires changes I do not feel ready to make, give me courage to surrender. Because sometimes the barrier to blessing is not the enemy outside, but the resistance within my own heart. And as we journey, may Our Lady gently guide me, teaching me the grace of surrender and the beauty of faith when the road is dim. If these words have reached you, then there is something in your life right now that urgently needs a miracle. You know exactly what it is, the thing you've carried silently, thinking about 1,000 times, trying to solve on your own, until the moment came when you realized that only heaven can intervene. When a battle is larger than your strength, isn't it time to call upon the strongest today? Saint Michael approaches not as a distant observer, but as a warrior prepared to fight for the miracle your heart longs for. Can you feel that subtle shift in your spirit, that tiny spark of hope rising again? Welcome to the journey of Saint Michael, a sacred place where every word is a sincere plea, and every prayer becomes a bridge between your whisper and divine action. Here, we believe that when the human heart surrenders in faith, heaven rises in power. In this moment of urgency, we call upon the Prince of the heavenly host to fight for us, to accelerate the answer so the miracle we await will no longer be delayed. And as Our Lady stands beside us, her mantle reminds us that heaven never abandons a wounded soul searching for light. Saint Michael, warrior of the Most High, I cry out with my soul exposed, not with polished speeches, but with a need so tremendous it floods my heart. You know the miracle I seek, the despair that led me here, the thoughts I cannot voice to anyone else. That is why I surrender, not out of weakness, but humility, because only you can make the impossible begin to change. If my miracle is blocked by a spiritual barrier, tear it down with your flaming sword. And if invisible forces try to interfere on my path, destroy them with your authority. If the enemy has tried to close doors before me, confuse him and make him flee so that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop the divine intervention I am waiting for. I do not ask from arrogance, but from urgency, not from vanity, but because my soul aches for relief. And I remember the reassurance in Luke 11, verse 10. For everyone who asks receives. And I wonder, could this be the moment heaven has been preparing me for you, who fought in heaven and defeated darkness? Fight now for me, battle where I can no longer advance. Place your shield between me and anything that seeks to destroy my purpose. Let your presence go before me so that every step I take is illuminated by your light, every decision guided by your wisdom, and every attempt of discouragement crushed by your strength. I place this urgent miracle in your hands, trusting that with you nothing is lost or forgotten. If I need healing, send it swiftly. If I need clarity, reveal it plainly. If I need restoration, pour it out with power. And if I must endure what has not yet changed, strengthen me with compassion. But please, do not delay. Stay close in this waiting, because you know that even though heaven's timing is perfect, my human heart grows weary. So I beg you, accelerate what has already been promised. Open the heavens over my life, release the blessing held back. Set in motion what has been stagnant, soften what is hardened, and act without delay, with the strength only you can release. Even now, may Our Lady whisper courage over my spirit, reminding me that miracles are not merely events, they are encounters with the love that never abandons us. And I ask you, listener, what if the miracle you're seeking is already unfolding beneath the surface, preparing to bloom in God's time, and all heaven asks of you is to trust just a little longer, Saint Michael, the Archangel. We come before you in our time of need, seeking your powerful intercession and unwavering support. If there are obstacles standing in the way of the miracle we pray for, whether they come from our own fears, our doubts, or the burdens of our past mistakes, we ask you to guide us through them. Let us not be ensnared by guilt or paralyzed by shame. May your light shine upon us, revealing what we must release and offering us the courage to forgive ourselves and others. In our moments of weakness, help us to remember that we do not need to be perfect to receive grace. All we need is a sincere heart, humble and open to divine mercy. Saint Michael, you who understand the depths of our souls, you know the prayers we cannot put into words, the hidden pains, the unspoken needs, and the longings we barely understand ourselves. You see what lies beneath the surface, even the things we can only whisper through tears, and you hold them in your heart. With your divine strength, you touch those places within us that need healing, restoring them with your mighty power. As we stand at the edge of our own strength, we place our trust in you. We have done all we can. We have tried, struggled, and persevered. But now we come to you not in defeat, but in faith, crying out for your help. If this miracle cannot come through our own efforts, let it come through your intercession. If it cannot be achieved through logic, let it arrive by the grace of God. If it seems impossible by any means, may it come by your authority, for you, Saint Michael, are the commander of heaven's armies, and you know no defeat. We ask that you do not delay, that you do not postpone your intervention. There is a life that hangs in the balance, a heart reaching its limit, a need that cannot wait any longer. This prayer is not just a simple request. It is a cry that rises from the depths of our souls, reaching up to the throne of God. In times when our faith has faltered and our hope has trembled, we have sought to hold on, even when everything around us was falling apart. How many times have we spoken words of hope, even with a quiver in our voice? How many times have we hidden our tears, trying not to burden those we love? But now, Saint Michael, we come before you with nothing to hide. No masks, no strategies, only a broken heart and the certainty that, with your help, miracles are still possible. You have been sent by God to defend His children, and we call upon you now, with all the authority that heaven has granted you, to intervene in our lives. Let your light shine into the darkness of our situation and bring the hope and healing we so desperately need. And if we have made mistakes along the way, if we have acted out of fear or desperation, do not turn away from us. Show us the way to healing, correct our steps, and transform us into the people we were meant to be. Teach us to forgive ourselves and others, and lift us from the ashes of our failures. If we need God's mercy, may we feel His love wash over us, restoring us completely. You, Saint Michael, have the power to act on our behalf and break the chains that bind us. There are miracles that are invisible to the eye but profound in their transformation. And sometimes, what needs to change is not our circumstances, but the way we see them. If this miracle requires a new vision, grant it to us. If it requires a new heart, transform it. If it requires closing painful chapters of our lives, help us to release them. We no longer wish to carry the burdens that you, Saint Michael, came to break. We also ask for this miracle not only for ourselves, but for those we love, for the silent sufferers, the ones who have lost their way, and the ones whose hope is fading. We ask that you intercede for them as well. Let your presence reach them where we cannot go. Let your sword strike down the obstacles in their lives, and may your divine power heal them, whether in body, mind, or spirit. If the miracle we seek is one of health, let your light flow through their bodies, restoring what has been damaged and bringing new life where there was none. Where there was once sickness, let there be healing. Where there was once pain, let there be peace. If the miracle we seek is financial, opening doors and providing for our needs, let your mighty hand guide us toward sustenance and abundance. Let no one go hungry, let no home lack bread, and let dignity remain in every heart. May heaven surprise us with unexpected provision, and may what was once closed be opened through your intervention. As we pray, we are reminded of the powerful words from the Bible. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. Matthew 7, verse 7, and the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 34, verse 18. These words remind us that with faith and trust in God, there is no obstacle too great, no request too small. Saint Michael, we place our trust in you, knowing that your intercession will carry our prayers to God, and that with your help, miracles are not just possible, they are promised. May this prayer reach heaven's gates and return to us with the peace, healing, and restoration that only God can provide. As we conclude this prayer, let us hold steadfast in the belief that Saint Michael, the Archangel, is ever near, ready to intercede on our behalf. His unwavering strength and divine authority stand as a shield between us and the forces that seek to hinder our progress. In our moments of weakness, when hope seems distant and the weight of life feels unbearable, we can take comfort in knowing that we are not alone. The angels of heaven, led by Saint Michael, stand ready to fight for us, to break through the barriers, and to bring forth the miracles we seek. In times of darkness, when our hearts are heavy and our strength falters, remember that divine intervention is not bound by time or circumstance. Heaven moves in ways we cannot always see, but faith assures us that every prayer, every plea, every tear is heard. Trust in the power of this prayer and know that the light of Saint Michael's sword is already cutting through the shadows, preparing the way for a miraculous change. May this prayer continue to resonate in your heart, reminding you that with faith, nothing is impossible. Walk forward in the strength of your belief, knowing that heaven's help is on the way. Keep your heart open, your spirit strong, and your hope alive, for the miracle you seek is closer than you think.